Someone said, if it is true, all right, that truth does not exist, then truth certainly does exist. Well, this is great for poetry. It's good word wizardry. A lot of what Ayn Rand did. But that's all it is. It's just word wizardry. Until we define the word truth, until we define the word exist, we don't know what this person said. Okay? We don't know what's going through this person's head. And so let's do that. If we define it like they do it in at the Wikipedia, or the notion that you find in the dictionaries, you say, what is exist? What does exist mean? Does God exist? Does God not exist? What am I saying when I say God exists? God doesn't exist, okay? And this is what you'll find out there. You'll say existence, the ability of an entity to interact with physical or mental reality. Well, the problem is the word reality is a synonym of existence, so we still don't know what existence means because they're synonyms. If you look up the word reality, it means exist. So we're done there. There's no more understanding that you can fit in there. In philosophy, it refers to the ontological property of being. Well, if you look at being, you'll find the same thing. It means existence. In philosophy, being means the existence of a thing. And that's according to the Wikipedia. How about the dictionary.com? Well, you can look up the word because it's never been defined in 10,000 years. Exist, to have actual being. Again, being is a synonym of exist. If you look up being, it's just they're just going around in circles. Okay. Be, to have life or animation, to live. You look up live, it's to exist, and exist is to live. Being, the fact of existence. Existence, something that exists. To be, to exist, or to live. So what have we learned? All we have is synonyms, okay? And so how do we get around this? Well, we put a good definition of exist. Exist means physical presence. Now we know what exist means. It means physical presence. What does that mean? Well, it means that if God wants to exist, oh, I got the wrong one there. If God wants to exist, he's got to have location. Okay, let's see if I can put that back up there again here. Good old God. Yeah, if God wants to exist, he's got to have, first he's got to be an object. Okay, he's got to be an object of some kind. Table, a chair, a bowl. If that's what you think God is, fine. That's the first requirement. Sine qua non. You need to be an object if you want to exist. Concepts do not exist. Not in rational science. They exist in the world of ordinary speech, the vulgar world, the vulgar notion that we have of exist. We say, oh, love exists. And we say that and leave it at that because we never define the word exist. And we don't need to, not in our ordinary notions. We don't care about those precise meanings there. But here we're saying if we're going to use the word exist, we're going to debate. We're going to talk intelligently. We're going to talk rationally in a way that we're all on the same page, right? Exist can only refer to an object. Is it sufficient for God to be an object? No. If God wants to exist, God has to have presence. By that I mean he's got to be an object and he's got to have location. There has to be a distance between my chest and his chest. Then God can exist. He exists not because I believe or because, I have a sensory experience of God. No, God exists by definition. We just applied the definition. Is God an object? Yes. He's got arms, legs, a beard. Fine. So he's an object. Does he have location? Is there a distance between God and every object in the universe? Is there a distance between God and the earth? Is there a distance between God and the sun? Is there a distance between God and the Andromeda galaxy? Then yes. And you can't put him outside of the universe and say, well, God's outside the universe. Because even if God's outside in the fourth dimension, there better be a straight line between the Andromeda galaxy and God. God has no place conceptually in the universe or even beyond in the 26th dimension from escaping from a straight line from any object to him. And if there is a straight line, then God exists by definition. We don't have to believe or not believe or worry about whether we can prove his existence. No, God exists by definition. Okay, so it's very straightforward, very simple to prove the existence of God. You just have to define the term and we're done. All you have to do is say, what is the definition of exist? And that's it. I have a saying, and it goes something like this: if you want to know whether God exists or not, just define the word exist. And of course, you also have to define the word God. If you define God, then for sure he's not going to exist, because definitions only apply to concepts. If God wants to be an object, he's got to be a figure, and you can point to God. Okay, you can say that's God right there, a flaming bush or whatever, right? Okay, then you point to it and says, okay, does that flaming bush exist? Well, does it have location? That's how. So it's objective. That's objectivism.